When most people think of horror, they think of something that's loud, violent, or cheap. But look closer. Horror might just be the most visually stunning genre in all of cinema. Horror has spent decades being underestimated, overlooked at award shows, written off by critics, and rarely treated as a true artistic force. Today, I want to highlight why the cinematography of horror has always been one of the genre's greatest strengths, and just how innovative it has been to the world of filmmaking. To do that, we're going to break it down into three essential pillars of cinematography: lighting, composition, and movement. These are the tools that make horror not just scary, but genuinely beautiful. From the very beginning, horror was one of cinema's most innovative forces. Films like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Nosferatu didn't just scare audiences, they helped define what movies could look and feel like. Drawing from the bold, stylized world of German Expressionism, they exaggerated shadows, distorted architecture, and surreal lighting to turn fear into visual art. This style proved that movies didn't have to just show reality. They could distort it, stylize it, and weaponize it to make you feel something. This would change filmmaking forever. From the sharp shadows of film noir to the heightened worlds of Tim Burton, and in every filmmaker who embraces stylized exaggeration over realism. One of my favorite examples of creative lighting in a movie is Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. What I love most about this film is its use of shadows. Those moments where we see the silhouette of Count Orlok are just pure, eerie minimalism. There's also something deeply creepy about the way his shadow hovers the city or even stretches across Lily Rose Depp's room in an exaggerated way. Even when he isn't physically present, his intentions and his hunger completely fill the space, creating this overall feeling of impending doom. Some of these scenes were even lit by candlelight, which makes the darkness feel even more real and unsettling. The dim, flickering lighting, especially when Thomas first enters the castle, creates so much suspense and unease. Orlok's face is barely revealed, and the way he stays hidden in the darkness, almost gliding from one place to the next, is just absolutely brilliant. If lighting shapes the mood of horror, then composition shapes its psychology. Horror has always understood that the way a frame is arranged can make us feel uneasy before anything scary even happens. Throughout the 70s and 80s, directors began using framing in very bold and expressive ways, pushing characters to the edges of the screen, creating overwhelming negative space, and letting environments swallow people whole. These choices weren't just stylistic, they were subconscious decisions to let the audience know that something dangerous was living just outside of the frame. And those ideas have carried forward into modern filmmaking, influencing everything from Kubrick's unnervingly precise wide shots in The Shining, to Ari Aster's suffocating center-framed compositions in Hereditary and Midsommar. One of my favorite examples of powerful composition in a horror movie is from Osgood Perkins' Longlegs. What I love about Longlegs is the way that it takes composition to another level. I mentioned the very popular center-framed type cinematography from the films of Kubrick and Ari Aster, but Osgood Perkins takes that idea and gives it a twist. There are countless moments where he intentionally frames something just slightly off-center. It's subtle, but you can feel it. The shot looks almost perfectly symmetrical, but something is just off. That tiny imbalance creates this feeling of unease. And honestly, this is a film that scared me more than anything I've seen in many years. A lot of the film is also shot on very wide-angle lenses, and I constantly found myself scanning each frame, convinced that something must be lurking in the background. Perkins uses negative space so cleverly, whether something is actually there or not, it's just brilliant filmmaking. Horror has always understood that the way a camera moves can make us feel watched, followed, or hunted. By the late 70s, filmmakers started experimenting with movement in ways that completely redefined the way audiences can feel and experience fear. One of the biggest breakthroughs came from John Carpenter's Halloween, which implemented the use of the then new Steadicam, not just for smooth shots, but to create the feeling of an unseen force gliding through the world. But long before that, films like Peeping Tom and Black Christmas reshaped cinematography by weaponizing the use of the POV shot. Suddenly, the audience wasn't just watching a character, they were inside the killer's gaze. It was invasive, uncomfortable, and groundbreaking. That perspective became a defining tool used again and again to collapse the boundary between viewer and threat. And then there's Sam Raimi, who pushed this idea of movement into a completely new territory with The Evil Dead. While other genres played it safe, horror embraced chaotic, hyper-expressive camera movement, the kind that felt alive. Raimi's signature Raimi cam rushing wildly through the woods wasn't about realism. It was about pure sensation. The camera became a monster in its own right, tearing through space with impossible speed and energy. That bold experimentation opened the door for another huge shift: found footage. Films like The Blair Witch Project and Wreck took the opposite approach. Raw, shaky, imperfect movement, and turned it into a new kind of authenticity. Horror proved that even bad camera movement could be emotionally precise. The unsteady handheld look made everything feel immediate and dangerous, and almost as if you were there with the characters, experiencing the terror yourself. This was another moment where horror reinvented the rules of cinematography, and everyone else eventually followed. Horror didn't just use camera movement to show the story, it used movement to become the story. It made the camera a character, a threat, a force. And that's one of the reasons the genre continues to push the visual language of cinema forward. Horror has always been more than jump scares or loud moments that were meant to startle you. When you really look at its lighting, its composition, and the way the camera moves, you start to see something people often miss. Horror is one of the most visually daring genres in all of filmmaking. For decades, horror has pushed the boundaries of what cinema can look and feel like. It's a genre that experiments constantly, bending reality, twisting perspective, and using every tool in the frame to make you feel watched, vulnerable, or completely overwhelmed. Where other genres might choose to play it safe, horror has always experimented, using bold colors, stark shadows, unconventional camera movement, and other choices that leave a lasting impression even long after the fear fades. And that's what fascinates me the most, the hidden beauty inside of all of this chaos. Horror uses visuals not just to scare you, but to communicate emotion, mood, and psychology in ways that are often more expressive than mainstream cinema ever tries to be. The best horror films are not afraid to make every frame look like a painting, every moment like a signal, and every shadow like a brushstroke. So my hope is that after watching this, you start to see horror a little bit differently, not just as something designed to frighten you, but as a genre that's bold, innovative, and genuinely beautiful. A genre that deserves far more appreciation for the artistry that it brings to the world of filmmaking.